my name's Dr. Aaren Grigg, and I am a family physician that also specializes in women's health and obstetrics. So what that means is I see women of all ages and do a lot of prenatal care. And in a nutshell, I deliver babies. So not only do we get to care for you before your pregnancy, we are able to care for you throughout your pregnancy, and then also in your postpartum period. A lot of people forget to think about what happens in that fourth trimester or that postpartum period. The postpartum period can be absolutely amazing, but it also comes with so many different challenges. And a lot of those challenges can be physical, but then also mental as well, because we both know that both of those things work together. You as a person have just gone through an entire procedure, whether that's a vaginal delivery or a C-section. Both of those things are exhausting physically, mentally, emotionally, everything. They're a big deal for your system, especially after 9 months of preparing and growing this baby. The postpartum period is significant, and we want to make sure that you are as prepared as possible and as supported as possible throughout this period. Things that a lot of people tend to forget is, how do I interact with my family? How do I deal with people who want to see baby right away, who want to kiss baby right away? What about vaccinations? Is baby okay to see people right away? What about feeding? Is my baby drinking enough, eating enough? Is my milk coming in? Am I producing enough? Oh my God. Doing all of these things, keeping this new baby alive, figuring out this dynamic with your partner, and also recovering from your own medical procedures. It is a big cluster of stuff that's going on. The first 2 weeks of your postpartum period can be super duper crazy. It can feel like a whirlwind. You may be so exhausted and so overwhelmed that you don't even know what day it is. The biggest thing is trying to figure out your new routine and your new dynamics, and usually the three of you, baby, and dad, figuring it all out. Every day, it's like putting a puzzle together, and the puzzle pieces are changing all of the time. It can be very emotionally exhausting and overwhelming. Not only are you dealing with your biggest drop in estrogen in your entire life, which gives you those lovely, lovely baby blues that usually last for about 2 weeks and then improve. But by day 3 or day 4, you really start to feel them. The irritability, the emotionality, like you put your slipper on the wrong foot and you're crying. It's hard and it's okay. It's normal. Ride through those emotional waves. However you can do to prepare for your postpartum period, especially with your family and your friends, the better. Sometimes that's going to be putting in some rules ahead of time, whether that's, hey, I don't want to see anybody in the hospital, or if I do deliver and people want to come to the hospital, visits are going to be super duper short. Maybe you don't want people to hold baby or visit with baby until you're all vaccinated, which happens at about 2 months of age. That might even just look like telling everybody beforehand what your expectations are. A lot of the time, I just tell people if they're struggling with those interpersonal family dynamics, just say, Dr. Grigg told me. Then they can blame me and not you guys. Nobody knows who I am, so that's okay. Your family and your parents, it's not going to be a big deal if you're like, Dr. Grigg said we can't do this. That's okay. I won't tell. It's fine. I encourage it. You need to do what is right for you. Other things that you can experience is if you do have an epidural, sometimes you can have residual side effects or things from your epidural, such as a little bit of that back pain in and around that epidural site. You can also sometimes, on a rare occasion, maybe have some urinary retention, where you have to go home and do some self-catheterization and things like that. Luckily, it's a rare thing. It doesn't happen very often. One of the biggest challenges people struggle with is breastfeeding, chest feeding, and really trying to figure out how is my milk coming in and if I'm getting enough, if I'm doing all the right things. The guilt of motherhood starts immediately. You experience it already during your pregnancy. So that guilt of being able to feed your baby on your own with no help is a huge weight that a lot of moms experience. And it's naturally one of the hardest things you will ever do. So however we can help support you in your breastfeeding journey, if that's one of your goals, we got to talk about it beforehand. There's amazing clinics in the neighborhood through the Toronto Public Health System that offer free breastfeeding clinics. So they have nurses and lactation consultants that are available. I actually encourage everybody to look into getting an appointment even before you deliver. Because I remember, I've never breastfed, and I remember being like, there's different nipple sizes, there's different holes of nipples, there's different flange sizes. Ultimately, all of it makes sense. But as someone who had no experience about it, I was like, oh my God, this is super overwhelming. Like, it is so overwhelming. So making sure you get some information on if you're like, what breast pump is gonna work for you, what breast pump, if it is gonna fit, what flange sizes are gonna fit your nipples, if you have an inverted nipple, different techniques of how to hold your baby, all of those things they can help with. If we know going in before you deliver, we can work on getting those skills so that you're not learning something brand new when you're already exhausted. Supplementing, also amazing, and usually, quite commonly, there's a combination for a couple of days until we know that baby has adjusted to actually having to feed themselves and actually do the work. There's a lot of things that go into breastfeeding and feeding that make it successful. Not only is it the amount of milk, but it's also how well baby's latching, how well baby's sucking, how well baby's response, how alert baby is, and all of those other things. Sometimes even, you need to get your partner in there to help with different types of positions and handholds. So there's lots of things that can go into this to just support your journey along the way. So postpartum, it is a huge topic that definitely deserves just as much attention as all of your prenatal and pregnancy care. Postpartum is not only about taking care of your baby afterwards, but it's also making sure you are okay, that you are healthy, that you are eating, that you are hydrated, that all of your basic things are taken care of. Because if we're able to take care of you, you are going to be able to take care of your baby. So it's very important to ask questions, get help. There's no bad question at all, and make sure that we talk about it beforehand so we can have a plan in place. Because if we have an idea of all of the things that are going to come up, we can make some plans, even if they do change along the way. At least we can, we're not starting from scratch. So if you are newly pregnant or really quickly approaching your delivery date, feel free to shoot all of your questions this way. I would love that you would be able to feel comfortable talking to your own healthcare team and your provider, of course. However, if there's anything that we can help with, let us know. Shoot your question over. There's no bad question. So thanks everybody for watching. We will see you in the next one. Bye.